Great day to be a Bulldog. Great win by our guys last night. Real happy for Coach Howell and his staff. Know how hard they worked. And come back being down 17 in the SEC is a tremendous accomplishment. And I know Vanderbilt's an outstanding team, so I'm really happy for him. So we're getting ready for obviously another top 20 opponent. The Piranhas keep coming in the fishbowl that we live in, so we got to get ready for another great ball club. Gave our kids off Sunday and Monday. Worked out about an hour and 15 on Saturday, so they've had pretty much 2.5 to 3 days off. It's a big week for tests. A lot of them are really inundated with tests this week, so it's a challenging week as well. But came back yesterday, had a good workout. Challenging workout, but came back and gave good effort. So I'm looking forward to seeing them today and finishing up with our game plan for Kentucky.
How does Michaela Epps epitomize Kentucky's team?
Well, she's just relentless. You know, she just keeps coming at you. Fearless, competitor, tough, you know, confident kid. And I think that whole team is that way. Their post players are really unlike any tandem we've seen all year. They're good facing the basket. They're good off the bounce. They have multiple moves. They have counter moves, and so they're going to be really a handful down there for us to deal with. And they've got other wing players. You know, Thompson on the wing shooting at unbelievable 46% from three in the league, and so it's really a really good basketball team. They've had some great wins this year and against some really quality opponents. So we got our hands full.
Morgan, talk about how you pace yourself during the game. I know sometimes your leg gives you a little bit of trouble. Just talk about how you try to go through a game and how that, you know, how your leg sometimes may hinder that to some extent.
I just keep going. You know, once I get going, my adrenaline, I'm pretty much okay for the most part. I really just get through it.
Coach, you mentioned the words relentless and fearless. How much do you hope that your kids play like that in what is an extremely important game tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think our kids do that. I think I've got a bunch of kids that play that way. This one right here plays that way, and so, you know, a game like tomorrow night, again, we'll have to play well to have a chance to win. Another knockdown drag-out's what we're expecting. I expect our kids to play well and play hard. We always do, and so, you know, we played hard the other night at A&M. We didn't play well enough to win a game like that on the road. We made lots of little mistakes, and they all add up to defeat. So we played awfully hard the other night. We just didn't play well in spots that really affected the outcome of the game. But, you know, I think our kids are always going to play that way.
Is there a difference between learning how to win and learning how to win a big-time game?
I think there's probably a difference, sure. You know, the big-time games, everything's magnified. All the little things, the possessions, all that is really, you know, magnified in a big game compared to just a, you know, an everyday ordinary game. I don't know, but, you know, I think, you know, the South Carolina game is a great example. I thought our kids were really, we were 3 plays away from winning that game. Now, it's pretty good. To date, I think we're the only team that's held them to 57 points or less in the league. And we fouled them for the last 4. You know, it's a 1-point game or 2-point game with 53 seconds left. So, you know, I do think there's credibility in what you just said, though. And, you know, we've obviously won some big games over the course of time, but I think with this team, we're still learning and understanding how to do that consistently. And, you know, you talk about the A&M game, for instance, I think that game's defined by one play. You know, as many plays as there were in that game, I think that game is defined by one play.
Which one?
Right before halftime.
Coach, can you describe the drive and determination of Morgan and what she means to you?
Well, I've never had a player play through a broken leg. I mean, she basically had a broken leg. Her shin was, had a stress fracture in it. Now she's better. She's a lot better today than she was 6 weeks ago, and she's healing. And so, I've had kids in the past that have had the same injury and had rods put down, their shin. So for her to play through it at her position and play the way she's played is very admirable. And, I'm awfully proud of her for doing that. It's been challenging for her, but she wears the responsibility of our team and being the point guard, and so I'm really, again, she's to be commended for fighting through it.
Morgan, can you talk a little bit about how you think that the team is matured and how it is learning how to win the big time games? You've gotten, like Coach said, you've gotten some great wins. Those big time games, those like tomorrow. How much do you think that you guys have learned and are learning how to win those games?
I think we're still learning. Like we should have won some games. There were some big games too. The one we just lost, big game. We should have won that one. We got mental mistakes, and we still got to grow. So I still feel like we're still learning. Now we're learning, but we're still learning how to win big games. When we win tomorrow, then we'll still be learning.
Coach, I know you probably don't spend a lot of time thinking about this, but when you came here, there was some precedent for some basketball success in the women's program. But what has been unprecedented is the kind of attendance that you're getting the last couple of years. Can you talk about that? Did you see what you thought might be a possibility when you first came here?
I don't think so. I think just like when we got here, we knew what 13 and 17 looked like. We knew that was coming down the pipe, and I knew what it looked like. So there was no panic on our part. And I think when you take over a program like Mississippi State and the community that you're investing in and you're moving your family into, you got to believe in all of the aspects of what is considered building a program. And so, if I didn't think we could average 5,000 fans a night and have 10,000 for a game, I probably wouldn't be here. And so those are the things because that's all, not only is that about student-athlete experience, that's about recruiting. You've got to have players if you're going to build a program. And so I think any player across the country now, they can look and see the excitement that's going on here at Mississippi State and in Starkville, Mississippi, and realize they're going to play in front of that every night. And that's going to be, a unique experience in women's college basketball today. Again, I'm still waiting for the story to be written about turning people away at the door. We had 10,600 for South Carolina and 300 watching it on a big screen. And I know Danny mentioned it in the story, but that's a great story for women's college basketball. So I did see it. I did think it could be done, but again, I didn't think it would happen until we got the product right. We had to get the product right. And when we got here, obviously, there was a problem with that, and so we addressed that and fixed that.
So are you saying that almost the response from the community has been out in front of the performance on the court? Is that fair? I mean, is it?
No, I think the response of the community is in correlation with the product on the floor. Yeah. I think, over the course of time, we earned a little bit of that fan base in that 13 and 17 year when you go out and beat number 11 Georgia here at home. And then the next year you go 22 and 14, you're in the, you make 3 rounds of the WNIT. And then that next year you go 27 and 7 and you're finished 3rd in the SEC. And we've got just as many fans at the SEC tournament as Tennessee. And so that's the piece that, but again, I don't think we have the fan base that we have in the average. We were averaging over 5,000 a night. I don't think we have 10,000 for South Carolina if these kids are standing around in a 2-3 zone and we're playing hope you miss defense. I think the fans appreciate how hard our kids play the game, how they honor the game with how they play, and that's why we have what we have.
Vic, how does the open date, how is it maybe a negative? Because I know you can't plan that, but how was it negative? How did you try to use it as a positive? Well, I guess what were some of the negatives and some of the positives?
Well, there wasn't any negatives because we desperately needed the date. I mean, it had been a long time. We not only were we not only had to open on the road in the SEC, we had to open on the road basically back-to-back because of the SEC challenge that we had with South Florida. So we opened back-to-back on the road because of scheduling, and then we go, what, month and a half, you know, without a bye. So we desperately needed the bye, and again, allowed some of our kids that needed to heal. Dominique had needed to get some rest. Victoria, Morgan, Dominique, and Victoria are playing lots of minutes, and they're playing lots of minutes, playing really hard, and so they needed the time away. And then I've got 4 kids in boots, so we had some kids that needed some time. Tiara took a shot in her ankle, and she's better now, and so all of them needed a little bit of healing time.
I know you mentioned it kind of last week, is that when you look at how late the open date was, did you change your coaching at all, your strategy, because it was so late, because of the injuries that were piling up?
Well, we certainly had to be careful with our injuries, and you had to be patient with them and realize, hey, look, Morgan ain't practicing today. Okay, move on. You know, I can't sit there and dwell on it, argue with her, argue with Mary. I think after 31 years you realize, okay, Morgan's going to be okay as long as when the lights come on, she can play. She's had enough practice throughout her short career here that she knows what it takes. So I think that, you know, I can't control the schedule. We had to play those games. We had to prepare those games. We had to try to win them. And if we could get to this date, I knew we'd have a little bit of time to recoup.
What has it been about Kentucky that they've been so successful against you guys in recent years? Because last year, so close to ending the streak, but does that eat at you that, you know, 9 in a row, it's still going?
We've had 3 straight knockdown dragouts with them, you know. 2 years ago here, foul with 1.2 seconds left on the clock called, and they make 1 out of 2 free throws to send it to overtime. We lose in overtime. Of course, last year the double overtime loss at their place, where we probably should have won that game twice. And then the SEC tournament, you're up 15 in the second half and can't close the deal. So certainly, but again, it's not like you're losing to, you know, chopped liver. I mean, those guys are good. They got All-Americans. They got McDonald's All-Americans. Matthew does a great job coaching them. So, I mean, you're typically losing to a top 15 team, and so it's just part of it. You know, it's kind of like dealing with Tennessee all those years. You know, I think they had 2 opportunities where they were up late in the game, and somebody made a jump shot against them to beat them, and so it just seems like it's sometimes harder to get over some humps than others. But you know, what's been amazing is that first year they beat us like, I don't know, 111 to 40 something. I mean, it was awful. The next year, overtime. The next year, double overtime. And so we've managed to make some strides in catching up with them as well as the rest of the league. So, but again, you're going up against a quality opponent that's well coached, and so it won't be any different on Thursday.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Mo. Thanks.